Hey everybody, welcome back to one of my budgeting videos. By some weird miracle, I am doing my budget on my payday, which is something I have not done in a very long time. The closest I got was last paycheck when I did it on the weekend of payday, but even then I only managed that because it was a long weekend, so I had an extra day. So yeah, little pat on the back for me for being a normal human and responsible vaguely-ish and doing the budget on the day of being paid. I'm gonna take it as a win. Okay, so this is for the paycheck for today, which is July 14th, 2023. The balance, I'm already writing messy. This isn't good. This isn't a good start. You know what? I'm gonna cheat it out and I'm gonna get a fresh piece of paper because if I start messy, the whole thing is gonna be messy, and I do attempt for it to be a little bit tidy. Although you wouldn't know from looking at most of them, I don't think. Okay, July 14th. The balance in my account is $2,283.94. And let me tell you how that is fake. My Dragon Boat team, our coach has made it onto Team Canada, and she's going to be going to Thailand in a couple weeks to compete, which is amazing, and we are super proud. So I started a little thing to see, I don't know, I wanted to get her a going away present, but not one present. Instead, we bought like a whole kind of mismatch of things that you could use when traveling. So some of it's silly, like junk food, and some of it's like an inflatable travel pillow, and you know, it's a random combination of things. We got a lot of sunscreen type products. And so I just paid for it on my credit card, and then people sent me money to go towards it. And then also a couple weeks ago now, maybe 3 weeks ago, we were competing at a festival and we did pizza for the team after we finished racing on the second day. And since I was the one that kind of came up with the idea, I went and picked it up. So I paid for it on my credit card, but then the team reimbursed me. So that reimbursement came through as well. So $210.71 is actually money from the team that's going to my Visa. So I can't include it. And then I also got my GST check today. It's $239.26. So my real starting balance for this budget is going to be $1,833.97. The GST check, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it, but I didn't want to just include it into the regular balance, and I'm still not completely sure what I want to do with it. I usually put them towards debt payoff because it's, you know, it's extra money, and so this way I can make like an additional payment I wouldn't normally be able to make and therefore pay down my debt faster. And usually that is a very solid plan and it works well for me, but I do have to move in October, and so I have all these random moving expenses that are already happening, you know, for like the moving company, and then there's going to be expenses on the day, and just like there's going to be money getting spent. I can just tell. Like some of my furniture is too old and in really bad shape and it won't survive another move, and there's no point in moving it. So I'm going to be, as I pack things up, getting rid of that furniture. But then once I'm in the new place, I will need to replace some of that furniture. So there will be expenses once I'm there. And, you know, like just moving just somehow ends up costing so much money. And I mean, I've paid the deposit for the movers, but also have to pay on the day for the movers. So I want to be sort of putting money aside as best as I can to go towards the actual cost on the day. Like I'll put it on my credit card, but I want to be able to pay it off my credit card right away or as close to right away as possible, just because it's going to be over $1,000. It's a lot of money to just be putting onto my card. I'd really rather not. Plus I'm moving somewhere where my rent is more than double, and if you've been following my budget at all, you'll know that I can't afford that. But that is the best deal I've been able to find because I live in a ridiculously expensive city. So it's just kind of, it is what it is. So I'm sort of I'm reluctant to put the money onto debt, even though getting out of debt is very important because I'm going to have expenses. And I think that I'm going to need money set aside for those expenses, because if I don't, it's just going to be increasing to my debt load. And this initial extra payment's really not going to count for much in the long run. I don't know. It makes sense in my head. So $392.50 to set aside for part of rent. Oh, why'd I hit that button? And then it hasn't come out yet. It'll auto deduct on Tuesday at $266.72 for my SUV payment. And then I owe $26.86 on my Neo card. I think that card is my most satisfying for paying off, because every paycheck I pay off the entire balance on it, and it just feels good to know that I pay it off, get it to zero. And yeah, like I have auto charges that go onto it, so it's not like it just sits at zero from that point on for months, but it's satisfying to be continuously getting back down to zero. It's kind of what I wish I could do with all my debt, just get it down to zero. Okay, so now we're going into the sinking funds. So $67 into my SUV insurance sinking fund. I feel like something's wrong. Is something wrong? Oh, I missed my line of credit. I was trying to put all like kind of my bills roughly together. That's what it is. Okay, so my line of credit payment is $239.78. Okay, so back to the sinking fund. So I did SUV insurance, so my tenant insurance. $7. And then $40 to my emergency fund. Now I debated putting that in this time because I actually pulled from my emergency fund $300 to go towards the cost of my ICBC deductible because I had a car accident, and so my deductible for the repairs was $300. I put it on my credit card, and I decided that that is what emergency funds are for, is to pay for things like that. So I've only just, when I sat down to do the budget today, transferred the money out of the account that it's in, that I keep my emergency fund in, to move it over to my my regular just checking account so that I can then put it onto the Visa. But it said I don't pull from that account ever, really. So I didn't know, but it said that it had like a 1 day processing or something, and I don't remember if it said it was a business day or just a day. So the $300 isn't actually in my account yet. So I'm not putting the $300 onto the credit card yet because I don't want to risk putting it and then the money not transferring over before, say, like my car payment goes out on Tuesday. You know, like it's tricky balancing. So I'll just check back every day to see when the $300 that I moved from the emergency account into my regular account transfers, and then I'll put it as a payment onto the Visa. But yeah, so when I was realizing I was doing all of that, I was kind of like, do I put $40 into the emergency fund, or should I just, instead of pulling out 300, pull out what, like 260, you know, like to make it all balance? But I decided to just pull the 300 out, put the 40 in, and it's just gonna be what it is. And somebody who's more like math smart than I probably thinks that's ridiculous, but it works for me. So then $20 to my Dragon Boat sinking fund. $20 to my present sinking fund. Okay, I'm just going to turn this over. That out of the way. So $754.11. $40 for my travel sinking fund. And then I already did the calculations for my cash envelopes. It's higher this time than normal. So $389.50 is going to go to my cash envelopes. Oh, I did it again. Now, the one bill that I like to purposely leave until the end is my BMO, because that's the one where it has a very low interest rate. So I did a balance transfer of I did a balance transfer, sorry, I can't talk, from my line of credit to that one, so that I had like $5,000 sitting on this BMO card at a lower interest rate to save me money while I'm trying to pay off debt. But I am still trying to pay it off faster. So I think the minimum payment on this thing is something like $14, which is ridiculous. So I want to put roughly $200 or more every paycheck onto it, but I always wait until I've sort of done all of the other financial calculations for the paycheck, and then see how much I have left. Because if I can do more than 200, that's great. But there's been a couple times where, you know, I was sick and I missed some days at work, so my paycheck was too small and I couldn't even do the 200. And I don't want to overreach, I suppose, and by putting, you know, by insisting on putting a $200 payment, actually cause myself more financial hardship because I run out of money for something else that I need. So I just sort of like to wait. But I do have $324.61 in there. So I am going to take 200 of it and put it onto the BMO card, leaving me with $124.61. And then I'm just going to put down here my cash envelope breakdown. So we've got Stryker. I had $32.50. Work parking right now for the next 2 weeks will be $32. I upped my groceries because I actually haven't done my grocery shopping yet. Usually I do it before I do my budget, so I'm only putting into this amount the amount needed for one grocery shopping trip. So it kind of tripped me up because I put $60 and I was like, wait, $60 for 2 weeks? That doesn't seem right, and it's not. So $120 to go into groceries. And it's going to be one of those weeks where I do have to spend a bit more because I need paper towel, you know, and like extra things like that just always kind of mean that I have to be extra careful with the food that I'm buying to not go over, because it's a lot easier to go over. Takeout, I give myself $50. Miscellaneous is $50. Fun is $50. I'm putting $5 for the step class. Now, normally the step class we go once a week, so in the span of our paycheck, it would be $10, except really it would be $9 because it's $4.50 per class, but I was just rounding up. We didn't actually go last week just because I think she double booked or I double booked. One of us double booked. And my friend that I go with has actually gotten an injury. She's got a bulging disc. I don't really know what that means, but it doesn't sound good. So I don't think we're going to be going this week either. In fact, I can pretty much guarantee that we won't be going this week, but I want to put the money in there anyways. I probably won't do it again next week if I don't think that we're going to take the class, because there's no point continuously putting money in there that I'm not going to use, but I'll leave a balance of $10 in there for the step class for when we start it back up. But I just thought I'll put in $5 now, because then if we don't go during this next pay period, then it just means that every pay period forward, the balance that's sitting there is enough to cover 2 classes, so the one per week, so I won't have to worry about being short once we start going back. Yeah. And gas, $50. I finally figured out how to tap my digital bank card. Like I just tap my phone at the boards at the pay at the pump so I can actually move the money into the cash envelopes now. My gas one I was always leaving in my actual checking account and then living in fear I would accidentally spend it. So this is much better. So this brings me, let's do the total here, $32.50 plus 32 plus 120, 50, 50, 55, 50 is $38.89.50. So that's how I got that amount that I put into the cash envelopes. I don't know why I just manually added all that up when I already had the calculation there. Sorry you had to sit through that. Yeah, so this is the budget so far. I haven't filled in any of the rest of the book in terms of like checking off that things have been paid or whatnot, so I can't show you that yet, but I did manage to, like, I say manage as if it was so hard, but I did pre-fill in stickers with like little side notes, like how I did it over here. I sometimes have little side notes that I'm leaving myself, so I did that. So I'm just gonna get this taped down very quickly. Okay. So this is just the note. Oh, did I pull more than one paper? No, I didn't. Okay. This is just the note that I made about transferring the $300 from the emergency fund over. And then this one is a little reminder about the money from the team and that it was for the Visa for Pizza and Cat's presents. And then this one is just a reminder about what I did with the money from the GST check. Yeah, I like to put little extra notes, and I know that it looks a bit messy with them being partially covered, but it means that I'll be able to notice them when I'm flipping through, and I'll realize like, hey, there's extra notes for this, so like let's go and see like what was I doing, you know, because sometimes I put them all the way under and I don't see them. So there we go. That is my budget done on time. It was some kind of a miracle, I think. I'm leaving myself with a balance of $124.61. I really need to get into the habit of, you know, like I'm generally pretty careful about only touching the money from like my variable spending and not touching that. So I need to get into a habit, I think, for like say next paycheck, when I sit down and I do the balance, and like how this one, how I took out money from the team and money from the GST check, I think I need to pull out the, I don't know what to call it, but the money that's left over from the previous time, and then see if I can do the budget not incorporating that extra money, because then if I can, that extra money, I could put that as an extra payment onto debt, but for the 2 weeks, leave it here as a buffer in case I've messed something up, because we all know that I mess things up and I like to have a buffer in case something happens. So I might have to try to actually incorporate that and make that a thing. We'll see if I remember by next week that I want to do that. But okay, there we go. I'm going to do a separate video about the digital cash envelopes and the new tracking system that I have for that, so I will update you there. I hope you all are having an absolutely lovely day and are looking forward to an excellent weekend. I think the weather, at least here, is supposed to be lovely. So stay safe, go out, enjoy yourself, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.